Hello people and welcome to the final version of my Raging Dragon's Fist build. At least unless there's a mega update that breaks something major, because that's what literally happened the last time I posted about an update to this build. So hopefully that doesn't happen a second time. But with that said, let's just get right into this, not waste any of your time and show you the build itself, since that's what you're all here for. So we're going to start with our gear, and we're going to start off with 3 pieces of the Brave Demon Hunter set, which will be an armor piece and both weapons, with obviously a plus 15 level 160 demon arm Cestus being our primary and major use weapon for this build. As for the other bits of armor, we generally just want to get Grace of Inari, 7 pieces, and make sure our armor rating, our toughness I mean, is at least at, I would say, 265 minimum, just so you get the A grade toughness and can pull you through a lot of attacks when attacking. As for your accessories, I would try and roll on the -1 to set requirements, the Grace Venari, but if you can't do that, it's fine to have it here. But if you do roll Grace Venari here, I would recommend putting something that like gives you bonus to like your primary cast weapon elemental damage, or an increase to like effect duration, or something that like boosts damage versus enemies under an effect duration. But that's really obviously on your weapon. Also, I'd recommend stuff like elemental weapon, the extended ability plus 20, because that will also make it so your weapon buff will last longer, which obviously means you have to buff less, which obviously means less uses, which is always great if we can use cast less and less, because then we're saving on resources, and resources are very important. And then for your armor, just stuff that decreases damage taken while attacking, and stuff that decreases damage taken, stuff that increases your key recovery, decreases your key consumption, and stuff that increases your key repulse recovery, and that's really it. That's it for your armor and weapons. Very straightforward, very simple. So let's move on to talismans next. We're going to do the Thunderstorm Shot Talisman for stacking lightning. This has 8 casts. Without any buffs to like build up effects, pretty much only takes 2 casts, but you can put build up effects to make it only take 1 cast on larger enemies. And then also there are enemies with resistance, which might take 2 extra to an extra cast to effect, depending on how resistant they are. And enemies who are completely immune, they generally are very squishy anyway. They tend to only be the face enemies, the flying skulls. So generally, if you're dealing with a flying skull, just a jump attack will deal with them a lot of the time. So this is just big enemy, cast this on them, followed by the Hell Gust, obviously, because this is just one of the best, like, offensive talismans in the game. Long-lasting, multi-hit, good build-up, generally just super reliable. No real downsides to using it. Even enemies that are resistant to wind will generally still get procced by this, just because it hits so many times. And again, only the flying skulls are really immune to it. Because even like the Demon of Obsession, I believe it was, the big fat one, like pretty much still gets procced by Hellgust Talisman. So let's move on to our second page now. We've got Life Leech Talisman for health regen, since Ammo Absorption massively falls off in the late game. Therefore, you want to start using Life Leech. This does mean that you can only cast it on 1 person though, and enemies can dodge it if you do it recklessly. So you have to time the cast correctly, whether it's a start animation or after they finish an attack or in the middle of an attack, so you can get it guaranteed. And in addition, when they change the Yokai Realm or change back, it will remove the effect from them, and you can only gain health by hitting the enemy under its effect. It is stronger, it is better, but obviously it does have some negatives. But it is pretty much what we're forced to do if we want to retain health regen. Next up, we go for Carnage Talisman for extra damage. This does decrease our defense, but we then use the Impurity Transfer Doll to put this on the enemy. You have to make sure that thing hits them, which is very awkward sometimes because it's super slow moving. But this will transfer over the negative effects of the Carnage Talisman to them. So you just get all the buffs and they get a weakness on them, which is great for extra damage. Then for our talisman here, we're going with the Water Talisman. This is going to give us 3 different effects on the enemy. It'll also give us level 2 Confusion, which will allow us to really start with the nuclear damage when that gets going. In addition, we get the 20% saturation damage, I believe it is, which gives us even more damage. For our Guardian Spirit, there are other options, but this is just the one I'm using. Gushin is the one I go for. I personally think Gushin is overall one of the best Guardian Spirits for rapid fire melee. Anything that like does a lot of melee consumption, has lots of hit combos, generally is really good with Gushin. Anything good at key damage, where you can get them to winded, is really good with Gushin. And anyone who wants to just crush human guards, that 18.8% is really good as well. As for our soul cores, we are going with the Gazuki soul core and the Onryoki soul core for 2 sets of minus 5.5 damage percent taken while attacking. In addition, I would roll onto their first slot status accommodation saturation on the enemy 4%, which gives us an 8% boost on saturation gain, because getting that water effect for that 20% damage is just sort of a thing you want. So again, that build up quick is pretty good, especially since cast you could just spam out like an extra cast if needed on an enemy to guarantee the proc, where if you're melee it's a little harder when you actually have to hit them. So getting that to build up quick and viciously generally is just a recommendation. As for alternative Guardian Spirit choices, as I did mention this, you can go with the Kuzaki, I can't pronounce it, but you can go with this one because it gives you 9% martial arts damage and it increases your proficiency art damage by 10%. So that is a good option, but you also can go with Golden here, which gives you key damage versus saturated enemy plus 15%. And also gives you melee damage in the Yoko realm 17.9%, which is really strong. So that is an option if you want to use other Guardian Spirits. So I just recommend Gushin, as I say. As for your levels, 30 Constitution, 50 Heart, 30 Stamina, 50 Strength, 6 Skill, 40 Intellect, 14 Intellect and 45 Strength. Not Strength, Magic. I don't get why I'm butchering that right there. If you want to go higher level, I would recommend just putting stuff into your Magic, your Strength and your Constitution, since the other stats don't really get much, and even Strength's kind of arguable. You might want to just put it into Skill to get access to Ninjutsu. But if you're going to put it anywhere, I would say Constitution and Magic or Intellect would be the way to put all your other points if you want to go beyond 190. So at the current point in the game, unless you're literally wanting to fight 250 enemies, there's no point putting anything beyond 190 at this current moment when it comes to this build. When the next new game comes out, I'll probably have a higher level version available. But that isn't out yet, so we can't do that. As for our blessings, we are going with a Warrior's Honor and melee damage versus attacking enemies. These are two different clans effects, so we will have to farm up some clans to get the most out of it, but still, it is worth it. There are other options which you can replace Warrior's Honor with, which is melee damage versus winded, or melee key damage are two good options as well, and they both come from the same clan. So that is an option to use if you want something else. As for our skills, Mystery of Onryo Magic, Weight Bearer, Key Sapping Follow-Up, Attack Mastery, Awakening, Amplification, and Attack Mastery 1. So that's double Attack Mastery for some extra damage. And those will be our common skills. As for our Samurai skills, Destructive Arts, Oppressive Strength, Unshakable, Art Proficiency, Life Siphon, Roaring Dragon, Deflect, and Polished Form. Obviously, you could replace Art Proficiency, Life Siphon with another Deflect ability to, like, counter-offensive deflect or something like that to increase your damage on deflect, or you could add on to your defense mastery to get extra tankiness. You could also use expansive deflect to get more distance, and also recoup's good, but generally I just go with this for extra healing when attacking, since why not, you know, why not? So that's really it for the build itself, so I guess the only option we have is to show it off. So we'll be doing the free only mission in New Game Plus to show you it in action in a very awkward scenario where you have to deal with 3 bosses at once.
では